The hum of the aircraft filled the cabin as passengers settled into their seats. In first class, Derek Holloway leaned back with a smug smile on his face, sipping his whiskey and flashing his Rolex whenever his sleeve rolled up. He was the kind of man who carried his arrogance like cologne, invisible but impossible to ignore. Beside him sat a younger businessman, nervously checking his emails. Derek nudged him with a grin. "You know what's wrong with the world today?" Derek began, not waiting for an answer. "They're putting women in roles that just don't suit them, like flying planes. I mean, no offense, but I like to know the person flying my jet has steel nerves, not mascara and mood swings." The businessman gave an awkward chuckle, unsure whether to agree or just pretend he hadn't heard. Derek continued anyway. "I always told my sister, well, stepsister, she had this silly dream about being a pilot. I told her straight up, some dreams aren't meant to be chased. You gotta stay grounded." Literally, as if timed by fate, the intercom crackled to life. "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen," came a confident female voice, clear and steady. "This is your captain, Amara Blake, welcoming you aboard Flight 902, non-stop to Seattle. We're expecting a smooth ride today with some minor turbulence ahead. Sit back, relax, and thank you for choosing Atlas Airlines." Derek choked mid-sip. His glass froze halfway to his lips. The name, the voice, it couldn't be. Amara Blake, his stepsister, the same girl he used to ridicule at the dinner table, the same girl he laughed at when she told the family she wanted to fly planes someday. The memory hit him like the first drop of turbulence, sharp and sudden. Flashback, a teenage Amara, bright-eyed and full of passion, sitting at the Holloway dinner table. "I want to be a pilot," she said, her voice soft but certain. Laughter erupted. Derek leaned forward with mock seriousness. "You? A pilot? Come on, Amara. Be real. You'll crash the plane trying to fix your lipstick." Everyone laughed, except her. Back in the present, Derek stared blankly ahead as the plane began its taxi. Outside the window, the massive engines roared to life. His world had shifted mid-air, and this time, Amara Blake was in control. 15 years ago, in a quiet town tucked deep in Texas, 17-year-old Amara Blake lived in a house that never felt like home. After her mother Nora married wealthy widower Roger Holloway, Amara found herself suddenly part of a world she didn't belong to. The Holloways had money, status, and expectations, especially for women. Quiet, obedient, decorative. Amara was none of those things. She was shy, yes, but her spirit was unshakable. Ever since that layover at Dallas-Fort Worth Airport when she was 11, when a tall, poised black woman in a crisp pilot uniform walked by and nodded at her, Amara had dreamed of flying. Not as a passenger, but from the cockpit. But in the Holloway home, dreams like that were liabilities. Her stepfather Roger called it childish nonsense. Her stepbrother Derek, 5 years older and full of himself, made it a mission to humiliate her every chance he got. "You? A pilot?" He laughed one night as she sat at the dinner table, flipping through a book on aircraft design. "Girl, be serious. Who's gonna trust you with a plane? You can't even park a bike straight." He laughed harder than anyone. His smugness was cruel, loud, and constant. And the worst part, no one stopped him. Her mother, Nora, sat silently most nights, her once vibrant eyes dimmed by years of being reminded she married up. She loved Amara, but she was stuck, financially dependent, emotionally worn thin. She did what she could in stolen moments, whispering gentle encouragement when Roger wasn't around. "At least you're good at math," she once said, brushing Amara's hair. "No one can take that from you." At school, Amara excelled, top of her class in physics, always lost in formulas and blueprints. But even her teachers seemed surprised when she spoke up about her ambitions. They'd smile politely, offer brochures for nursing programs, and remind her how demanding aviation was. But Amara never gave up. Her secret place was a dusty airplane hangar on the edge of town, where a retired mechanic named Mr. Ramos worked. She had started volunteering there to earn school credit, sweeping floors, handing him tools. But over time, he let her linger, watch, ask questions, crawl under fuselages, and run her hands over old, tired engines. "Engines don't lie," he told her once. "People will, not machines." She kept that line in her heart. Late nights, after everyone in the Holloway house had gone to bed, she'd lie on her back on the roof, staring at the stars, whispering names of aircraft instead of constellation. And every morning, she'd wake up and face the same coldness, the same ridicule, the same quiet war of proving she was worthy. She learned to carry her dreams like a secret, protected but burning. Now, at 32, Amara Blake walks through Terminal C of the Houston International Airport, suitcase rolling smoothly behind her. Her navy blue pilot uniform is sharp, the gold stripes on her shoulder gleaming. Passengers glance at her with admiration. Children point. A few men blink in surprise, then look away quickly. She nods politely, eyes steady, movements fluid. She's not here to impress, she's here to fly. Captain Amara Blake, one of the youngest female commercial pilots in her airline's history. She pulls her cap down slightly over her sleek bun as she passes the gate. Her ID badge bounces lightly against her chest. But under the professional exterior is a heartbeat that still remembers every laugh, every dismissive stare, every door slammed in her face, every single person who said she couldn't, including the man sitting unknowingly on her plane today, Derek Holloway, the same smug boy who once told her to be serious, the same man who thought ambition looked wrong on a girl like her. And now, she was the one with her hands on the throttle. The gym was hot and crowded, buzzing with applause and camera flashes. High school graduation night. Amara clutched her rolled diploma with both hands, her heart pounding not just with pride, but with hope. She had done it. She had earned a partial scholarship to a respected aviation prep program outside Houston. It wasn't everything, but it was something. She could apply for loans to cover the rest. Mr. Ramos had even helped her prepare the forms. It was all happening. She rushed toward her family in the crowd, her gown fluttering behind her. Her mum smiled softly and pulled her into a hug. Roger stood with his arms crossed, unimpressed. And Derek, already dressed in a blazer like he was someone important, raised one eyebrow. "I got it," Amara beamed. "They accepted me. The Texas Aeronautical Institute. I got a scholarship. Only partial, but I just need someone to co-sign the loan, just until I start flying. I can pay it off." She looked from her mother to Roger. Her mother looked unsure, already bracing for the answer. Roger scoffed. "You want me to co-sign a loan so you can, what? Play with airplanes? Amara, be practical. This isn't a career, it's a phase. Why don't you consider teaching? Or nursing? Something stable, something real." "It is real," Amara said, her voice shaking. "This is all I've ever wanted." Derek snorted beside him. "Did they run out of actual pilots or something?" A few of his old classmates laughed along, like it was a joke they were all in on. Amara's throat closed up. "I'm serious," she said quietly, her voice cracking. "So am I," Roger said. "You'll get over this. Life's about knowing your place. This question mark, this isn't it." That night, after the house went quiet, Amara stood just outside Derek's bedroom door, frozen. Inside, she heard him laughing with two friends over the phone. She got into some bootleg school with a scholarship for women or minorities or something. She'll probably crash a plane or end up pushing the drink cart in coach. More laughter. That was it. She walked to her room with quiet resolve. No tears, no drama, just action. She folded her gown, packed her duffel bag with essentials, clothes, the letter from the training center, the aviation textbook Mr. Ramos gave her. She left a note for her mother, handwritten and folded on her pillow. "Mom, I love you. I'm not giving up on this. I can't. I hope one day you'll be proud of me. Don't worry, I'll figure it out." At 3:27 a.m., she boarded a Greyhound bus to Houston with $210 and a number in her pocket. Mr. Ramos had once scribbled it down, just in case. A flight academy that offered room and board in exchange for work study. A long shot, but it was her shot, and she was taking it. Present day, Amara sat in the cockpit of Flight 902, running through her pre-flight checklist with calm precision. Co-pilot to her left, crew checks completed, cabin ready, clear skies ahead. Then her screen lit up with the latest update. One VIP in first class, recently upgraded. Passenger name, Derek Holloway. Her hand hovered over the screen. Number it couldn't be. She tapped twice to confirm. Her eyes locked on the name again. Derek Holloway, her stepbrother, the man who told her she'd never fly, the man who laughed at her every dream, then made sure she had no help chasing it. She inhaled deeply, steadying herself. She was no longer 17, no longer waiting for approval or a co-signed loan. She had flown over oceans. She had handled emergencies. She had made it all the way here, on her own. And now, 35,000 feet above the past, he was on her plane, with no idea that the girl he mocked was the woman flying him home. The sky outside was a flawless gradient of blue and gold. At 36,000 feet, the world seemed quiet, suspended. But inside the cockpit, Amara's chest was tight. She adjusted her headset, eyes scanning the instrument panel. Everything was smooth, normal, just another flight, except it wasn't. Her stepbrother, Derek, was sitting in first class, feet stretched out, sipping something expensive, probably charming a flight attendant with that fake confidence he wore like a tailored suit. He didn't recognize her voice. Not yet. But the moment was coming. Years ago, Houston, Pilot Training Center. The bunk mattress was stiff, the springs digging into her back. The window barely opened, and the fan clanked through the night. Amara lay staring at the ceiling, boots still on, hands aching from a 12-hour shift cleaning hangers. Her uniform reeked of sweat and jet fuel. Her back burned. Her bank balance was under $40. Earlier that day, one of the instructors, a man who looked right through her, had said, "You sure you're in the right program, sweetheart? Not a lot of girls make it past phase 2. She hadn't said a word, just nodded and walked back out into the heat, then worked harder. Days turned into months, months into years. Training, failing, retesting, being talked down to, having her knowledge questioned, enduring subtle digs, disapproving glances, side comments about her hair, her tone, her attitude. She passed every test, on her own dime, in her own time. No one opened doors for her. She broke them down. Meanwhile, Derek's rise, New York City. Derek Holloway slid through his career like a man in a tailored suit, walking on marble. He had connections, his father's friends, golf partners, a fraternity network that practically oiled the rungs of his ladder. He learned how to sell, flashy words, firm handshakes, and jokes at others' expense. Women in the office either admired him or feared him, and he liked it that way. "You don't have to be smart," he once told a new hire, grinning. "You just have to sound like you know what you're doing. Confidence, my friend. That's the whole game." He rose quickly. Bonus checks, business class flights, weekends in Dubai. He told everyone how he made it, conveniently forgetting the name on every door he was ushered through. Present. In the cockpit, Amara's co-pilot leaned towards her. "Turbulence ahead. Should pass in about 10 minutes, he said, adjusting his headset. She nodded. "Let's inform the cabin." He tapped the switch. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is your first officer speaking. We'll be encountering some light turbulence shortly. Nothing to worry about. Captain Blake is monitoring all systems." He said it so casually, Captain Blake, like it wasn't the most loaded name on that plane. In the cabin, Derek blinked. Blake? His brows furrowed. He sat up straighter, replaying the name in his head. Then the memory stirred, faint, distant, almost impossible. Number couldn't be, but it kept echoing. Blake. Amara Blake. He leaned into the aisle and pressed the flight attendant call button. "Excuse me," he said, charming as ever. "Is it possible to meet the captain? Just a quick hello. I may know her." The attendant smiled politely. "Captain Blake doesn't usually meet passengers mid-flight, sir, especially not during turbulence protocol." He tried again. "Tell her Derek Holloway's on board. She'll want to see me." The attendant disappeared with the message. Inside the cockpit, Amara heard it. Her jaw clenched. "No," she said firmly. "I figured," her co-pilot muttered, eyeing her face. "You okay?" "Yeah," she said. "Let's focus on the descent." Then, without warning, a system warning beeped. Minor, but real. Hydraulics check. Cabin pressure stabilizer out of sync. The plane rattled, just slightly. Then again. The sky outside looked the same, but a shift in wind pattern hit fast. Passengers grabbed armrests. A child cried somewhere in coach. Derek's eyes darted around, face tensing. And then, her voice. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. We're experiencing a minor systems issue, well within our training parameters. My crew and I are on it. Please remain seated. We'll update you shortly. Clear, calm, absolute control." Inside the cockpit, Amara's fingers flew across the controls. She ran the backup checklist with her co-pilot, readjusted airspeed, rerouted cabin pressure sync, and locked in the revised descent path. Her hands never shook. By the time they broke through the clouds, Houston's skyline glowed gold beneath them. She landed the aircraft so smoothly, it was barely felt. Applause erupted in the cabin. She didn't hear it. She was already completing the post-landing protocol. At the gate, passengers began deplaning. Derek remained in his seat, and then, slowly, deliberately, he stood. Instead of exiting, he walked toward the front. The terminal hummed with movement, rolling suitcases, tired faces, airport announcements muffled by distance. Derek stood near gate 27, still gripping his carry-on like an anchor, staring at her. Amara Blake. She was standing by the window, her pilot's jacket folded neatly over one arm, sunlight catching the faint gold on her captain's wings. He approached hesitantly. Amara. She turned, steady and unreadable. Her voice was even, polished. Captain Blake. He gave a weak chuckle, as if trying to disarm the tension. Right. Captain Blake. Wow. I mean, look at you. Flying planes now, huh? She said nothing. I gotta admit, he continued, I didn't recognize you but when I heard your name, I thought, no way. Then I saw you just now and… He trailed off, searching her face for warmth. There was none. I'm impressed, he offered finally, the words hanging awkwardly in the air. Truly. You've done well for yourself. There it was, the familiar voice of a man who thought surface praise could patch over old wounds. Amara's jaw tightened, but she didn't raise her voice. You didn't believe in me, she said, quiet but clear. Not once. When I told you my dreams, you laughed. Derek shifted. Come on, Amara. We were just kids. It wasn't that deep. Her eyes didn't blink. You humiliated me. You made jokes. You and your friends laughed behind my back, in front of my face. And when I got the scholarship, when I needed one thing, just a signature from your father to co-sign my loan, he refused. And you stood there. You watched. He shrugged, trying to smile through it. But hey, you made it anyway, right? That's what counts. You didn't need us after all. Amara let out a small exhale. It wasn't amusement. It was weariness. That's not the point, Derek. The point is who you are when someone needs you, when they're scared, when they have a dream no one understands. That's when it counts. And you taught me something, that I'd have to do it all alone. There was no bitterness in her voice, no accusation, just truth. She took one step forward, not toward him, but past him. Goodbye, Derek. Wait, hold on, he called after her, but she didn't stop. At the customer service desk nearby, Amara paused briefly. She handed the gate agent a sealed envelope with Derek's name written across the front. He'll be by shortly, she said calmly, then walked away into the terminal crowd, her figure shrinking until it disappeared around a corner. Later, sitting in the airline lounge with a drink untouched beside him, Derek turned the envelope over in his hand. The handwriting was familiar, shaky but bold, the kind of writing a teenage girl might have when her heart was breaking. He opened it. Inside was a single sheet of paper, yellowed at the corners. No greeting, just words. I will fly someday, with or without you believing in me. Amara. He stared at the note, his hand slowly lowering to the table. The noise of the airport faded around him. For the first time in years, Derek Holloway had nothing to say. The soft hum of the flight simulator filled the training center. Inside, Amara sat beside a wide-eyed teenage girl, her hand gently guiding the yoke. Easy now, Amara said with a calm smile. Let the aircraft respond. Don't fight it. Listen to it. The young girl nodded, her expression a blend of nerves and awe. From the observation deck behind them, a group of girls, most of them black, all of them hopeful, watched in rapt attention. Their notebooks were open, pens poised, eyes locked on the woman who had become a quiet legend in aviation circles. After the simulation ended, Amara stood in front of the class. She didn't wear her captain's uniform today, just a simple navy blouse, slacks, and that same grounded presence she carried in the cockpit. Some of you, she began, might already know what it feels like to be told what you can't do. I knew that feeling early. I didn't come from support. I didn't come from legacy. I came from silence. She let the words hang for a moment, the silence of not being believed. That kind of silence echoes. It fills your head. It tries to make you smaller. One of the girls leaned forward, her brow furrowed in understanding. Amara continued, voice steady. But I want you to know, you don't need loud applause to be great. You don't need anyone's permission to fly. You just need the will. The rest, you'll build in the air. They clapped softly, some blinking away tears. It wasn't just a lesson in aviation. It was permission to dream. Elsewhere, in a glossy corporate conference hall lined with LED screens and round tables, Derek stood at a podium. Behind him, a slide showed a photo of a woman in uniform, Amara, stepping out of a cockpit. Derek adjusted his mic. And that's my sister. Well, technically, stepsister. Captain Amara Blake, he said, forcing a laugh. She taught me something unexpected. That breaking stereotypes isn't just about proving others wrong, but about proving yourself right. Polite applause followed. He smiled, a little too broadly. On his screen, her wings sparkled in high resolution, but his words rang hollow. This was his stage now, polished, rehearsed, marketable, a far cry from the cruel boy who once laughed as she spoke her dreams aloud. The audience clapped again, and he nodded, basking in a success borrowed, not earned. Back in Houston, Amara stood by a classroom window as the students packed up. She watched the planes take off in the distance, the roar of engines a lullaby she'd long since memorized. She was no longer chasing anything. She was already in the sky, and now she was holding the door open for others. The sky stretched endlessly, painted in streaks of gold and burnt orange as the sun dipped toward the horizon. Inside the cockpit, silence hummed, the kind that only exists between the clouds. Amara sat alone, hands steady on the controls. Her eyes scanned the instrument panel one final time before she clicked the autopilot. Everything was smooth. She leaned back, the faint hum of the engines surrounding her like a lullaby. Her eyes softened as she glanced to her left. A small weathered photo was taped beside the altimeter. It was of her and Nora, smiling under the summer sun, arms wrapped around each other. On the back of the photo, scrawled in faded ink, were the words, "Go be more than I ever could. I believe in you." Her throat tightened. She reached for her phone, held it up, and pressed record. "Mom, I did it," she whispered, her voice light, full, alive. "I fly now, and I love it." Every moment she paused, staring out at the fiery edge of the sky. "Thank you for believing, even when it cost you everything." Her eyes closed for just a second, letting the moment wash over her. Then, a slow inhale, a soft smile. She placed the phone back beside her seat, eyes forward again. Outside, the clouds broke open, revealing ribbons of light below. Cities, rivers, roads, all so small from up here, all so far away. Up here, she didn't need permission, or forgiveness, or anyone's approval. She had wings, and finally, she was free. Hi besties, thank you so much for watching to the end. Please remember to like, comment and subscribe.